I learned this from a guy I used to work with who gave me some really bad real estate advice. You need to make the show all about you, right? You need to make the show all about you. So I'm going to make the show all about me. Part of being a blowhard and a gas bag on the radio, you have to have strong opinions. Good radio show has to have a lot of ingredients, but one of those ingredients is strong opinions, right? Strong opinions. And you have to be a man of integrity. You have to be a man of your word. When you say something, you have to follow up and do it. And I said some things over the last 10 days or so that were okay. I mean, they're good radio. I thought they were pretty good radio. You would be the judge of that ultimately if they were good radio. But one of the things I said was that, and this is when the Clippers had a 3-1 lead over the Nuggets. I believe I said, if the Nuggets come back and beat the Clippers in this series, I will eat Rocky Mountain oysters, which is a local delicacy in Denver. If you are unfamiliar, if you've never been to Denver or you don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, you can either Google it or I can just tell you. But I will be paying off my bet. Now, because of coronavirus and COVID and all that, I'm not going to be able to travel to Denver, unfortunately, until all this gets settled. Not really traveling anywhere. I did, though. Here's how this is going to work. All right. So I text my wife, and I said, hey, let's make some Rocky Mountain oysters this weekend. And she sent me like the question mark, like, were you kidding? She thought I was joking. And then, because she doesn't listen to the show. And so then I had to explain to her how I had put my foot in my mouth and I had said this, and we were supposed to go to Denver, but we can't go to Denver. So we have to find Rocky Mountain oysters. And she's like, she knew what they were. And so if anybody listening, we're on in LA, we're on all over the country, but in Los Angeles on AM 570, the flagship of Dodger baseball and all that, if anybody listening locally in LA knows of any grocery stores that sell bull testicles, because that's what those are, bull testicles, let me know. Right? And I looked at some photos of them. They don't actually look all that bad. They don't. If I can tell myself, see, I'm going to tell myself it's chicken. Because I remember watching The Simpsons when I was a kid, and Homer, in one of the episodes, he said something about fried food. If it's fried, it's good, right? Some quote about that. I'm paraphrasing. But my theory, and I agree with this, if you deep fry the bull testicles and you put breading on them and you dip them in barbecue sauce or honey mustard, how could they be bad? It's deep fried. You won't even taste the bull testicles, right? I just hope I don't puke. That's why I will record it for posterity's sake, just to prove I'm a man of my word. I will do it. The plan is this weekend. If we can find them, if we can't find them this weekend, we'll have to do it the following weekend, but we will do it. It's going to happen. Now, meanwhile, I can't believe I'm about to do this either, since I will not be able to completely pay off my bet, meaning I cannot travel to the Mile High City in person. Not yet. I'd like to go to Denver because there actually is a food dish named after me in the Denver area, the Mallard chicken sandwich, the Mallard chicken tender sandwich there, which is on the menu at a couple of locations in the greater Denver area. So I have an affinity for the Mile High City. You might not believe that with all the nasty things I've said about the Nuggets recently. But here's what I've decided to do. To degrade myself even more, to humiliate myself even more to you, the listener. And I realize we're on radio and you can't see what I'm about to do, but I am going to channel Carrot Top. I am going to become a prop comedian because what I have done here, all right, I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm holding in my hands here, a dunce cap, all right? A dunce cap. It's a paper bag. I'm going to now put this on my head. All right, hold on a second. Oh, I don't want to break it. All right, can you still hear me? All right, good. You can still hear me. I am now wearing said dunce cap. I have the dunce cap on. Anyway, I can hold it up like this. And for the rest of the hour, or at least the rest of this segment, I will wear the dunce cap. Now, I did this once before. The Clippers years ago lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers were on their way to setting a record for the longest losing streak in North America. All right, they were on their way, and they blew it. Those losers. How dare them, the Clippers. They lost the game. That was a bad Cleveland team. That was in the time, I believe, LeBron went to Miami. I think it was around that time. Anyway, all right, so let's get into this right now as I am wearing said dunce cap, and I will have photographs. We will have proof of this. Use your imagination. I am literally sitting in the home studio here, and I have a light on me, and I am wearing a dunce cap. And by the way, it's very hot in the dunce cap. I did not realize, it's a paper bag. How hot could it be? but it is hot. So I am wearing the dunce cap for believing that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George would not let me down. Right? Both those guys, especially Paul George, but Kawhi Leonard went 1 of 11 in Game 7. I got kicked, kneed, I got elbowed, all right, and poked in the eye watching these last 3 games. It was disgusting. So let us discuss this. Now, the question, as I sit here wearing my dunce cap, am I jinxed? Is the curse of the Bambino real? Now, if you've been with me for a long time, you will say yes. I say no. I continue to be a glutton for punishment. I am saying no. The curse is not real. Although there is a lot of scientific evidence that would lead you to believe it is real. So my observation here, you have the sizzle, you have the moniker, and the android. And we will lock all of these things together. Now, number one. All right, my mistake, and I'm going to be very clear here. When you make a mistake, you should admit to it. My mistake was having faith in an athlete. I've made a lot of the same mistakes over the years as a sports fan, and I continue to make the mistake. I get hornswoggled and bamboozled time and time and time again, and it's different guys. I mean, some of these guys are retired over the years. They'll break your heart more than they won't. So what I am planning on doing here, I am going to contact the Better Business Bureau, all right? That's what I'm going to do first thing in the morning. I don't think they're open right now. I'm going to file a formal complaint for misleading advertising and deceptive marketing practices. The Clipper team that I was sold and what they told me they were going to be, all right? What they told me they were going to be. I got to adjust my dunce cap. Hold on a second. But what I was told they were going to be, they turned out to be all sizzle and no steak. All sizzle and no steak is what they turned out to be. And where have I seen this before? Oh, nowhere. How about the Lob City Clippers? How about the Lob City Clippers of a couple years back? Same situation. They were more entertaining to watch, though, with Paul. When you look at Blake Griffin and all those guys and DeAndre Jordan and the power hammer dunks. Now, the one common denominator, Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is the one common denominator with this. And now maybe Blake Griffin put a curse on them when the franchise did him dirty. He signed that extension, and then they said, bye-bye, Blake. Go enjoy the Pistons. We're going to get rid of you. Or is it possible that Donald Sterling put the whammy on the Clipper franchise when he was banned for life? Or Chris Paul when he got upset and had a hissy fit and they had to trade him to the Rockettes. Now, generally, I do not believe in such things like the curse of the Bambino. The curse of the Bambino was started probably about 15, 20 years ago by a guy named Motor City Mike, one of our newspaper delivery men in Detroit, who was a big fan of the show. That started on the weekend version of the show, and he called up, and I kept making NFL picks that seemed obvious, and they lost more than they won, and then teams I liked would lose, just like now. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all. And so he went on and on about how there was this curse. Forget the curse of the Bambino. It's the curse of the Bambino and all that. And, here I am 15 years later, and I'm sitting in a studio wearing a dunce cap, so maybe there's something to it. But I don't believe in it, right? I'm not a big snake bit guy, generally speaking. Now, I use the phrase from time to time about other people, but I don't think of myself as being snake bit. And the reason why, all right, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. When I first started in the radio biz, some of the big topics, some of the evergreen topics that we had in radio were the Red Sox will never win the World Series because of the curse of the Bambino. They're never going to win, right? They're never going to win. They have become a dynasty. I heard Chicago Cub fans, say, no, they can't win 1908. They'll never win. Well, it took them 100 years, but they did win the World Series, and they beat the Cleveland Indians a few years back. I saw it with my own eyes. Here. I did. Now, the second point. While I have nothing to do with any of these teams playing like dog food that I happen to have an allegiance to, it has been a wild last decade or so. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't think it's a curse. I'm not buying the curse of the Bambino. But I have been tormented being a fan of some of these teams. So I have come up with a new moniker that was actually sent in by a listener. I am now Maller Masochist. I am the Maller Masochist. That is a new nickname because clearly I enjoy pain and agony as a sports fan. The last few years, I have watched the Clippers over the last half decade or so blow 3-1 leads to both the Rockets and the Nuggets. All right? With two different rosters of talent, Lob City versus Kawhi Town. I witnessed with my own eyes, again, these eyes that I have in this dunce cap, I witnessed the Dodgers fall in not one but two World Series, as Dave Roberts kept saying, I really liked him in that spot, only to later learn that both the Astros and the Red Sox cheated. I watched the Rams reach the Super Bowl against the Patriots while I was moonlighting as a Boston talk show host in addition to this job, only to be punched in the gut as Sean McVay went hubba hubba, head over heels for Bill Belichick and was following Belichick around like a puppy dog. He was so starstruck, McVay, that he took stupid pills to coach that game. It was embarrassing. And the Clippers again here, all right? And the Clippers here, taking a ride on the Vomit Comet, is on brand for the new Maller Masochist nickname. All right, final point. While I'm clearly a sucker for punishment as a sports fan, unlike the teams I follow, I'm not a quitter. Now, one thing I will be doing more of, I will become even a bigger degenerate gambler. I like gambling on sports. Now, it's not for everybody, and you should do it in moderation, but I have been pretty good at picking NFL games in recent years. I got a system. Betting sports is more enjoyable because you don't have any one favorite team. Whoever you bet on is your favorite team, and you can pick and choose and pick your spots day to day and all that. Now, that said, years ago, there was a columnist at a small newspaper called the Sioux City Journal in Iowa, a local rag in that city, in Sioux City, Iowa, who wrote a story and called me. His whole column, the first half of his column, was dedicated to me, all right, because I had said some nasty things about Iowa State. They had upset Oklahoma in a college football game on like a Friday night, and I came in here ranting and raving, and he called me in his column the condescending and patronizing chatterbox of sports radio. And I hope, and I want this to happen. I'm hoping that we can stay around long enough that is child's play. My goal is to be behind these microphones long enough to be as obnoxious as humanly possible as we celebrate the Clippers winning a championship in the NBA, the Rams taking the Super Bowl, and also the Dodgers taking a World Series, the big three there. And
you said Lakers.
I did not say Lakers. Now, with advancements in modern medicine, if I become, here's what's going to have to happen for that to take place. I have to become an android. I don't think I'll live long enough. So I need to somehow become an android. So I would like the medical community, I'd like to see some advancements there with modern medicine, and so I can become an android. And then I'm good. Can I take this dunce cap out now? Do I have to leave it on? What are the rules on that?